My
Oh, it's
system
all
got a
good.
little messed up over here. So
How's life been, man? How's you're still in Michigan, right? Grand Rapids
yeah,
area?
so I moved up here right after we had met in Miami, which was kind of good timing because that's when COVID kicked in. So
Wild.
we were looking for a bigger facility down there,
Yeah.
because obviously at that time we were doing a lot of work with Old Depot,
Right.
and so but you know how Miami is like trying to find any sort of real estate that can
It's
hold an NBA
tough.
gym
It's
without spending
insane, man.
$8 million. But I think the one place I was looking at, another guy's actually in there, which I would have loved to have used it, but it didn't fit what they wanted it to fit. Now it looks perfect.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Gotcha.
so I'm up here in Grand Rapids now, with my partner Micah.
Yep.
We got a lot of crazy things going on right now, but it's been fun.
Yeah.
So it's been good being back up here because I'm originally from here anyways.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Now you've been in the industry for how long? Who have you worked with? Can you give just a little bit of insight for everyone here?
It always makes me feel old. Um,
Right. Starting to
so
get there.
technically, I mean, I started training people when I was in college. So I
Mhm.
mean, that's like 2009. And at that point, like just a college player. I mean, Mike Lancaster was actually my, long story short, he was actually my assistant coach for about 4 months, where I played college basketball, and he ended up leaving shortly to move to North Carolina to actually be a full-time trainer, which really wasn't a thing back then.
All right.
So he moved to North Carolina, opened a facility down there. That's where it kind of all started with the whole Impossible branding. And so I met him when I was in college. I started training local players myself. And not gonna lie, for a local player, I was like college kid, like I was killing it. I had kind of a contract with the school here, Cedar Springs, where every Sunday I was training the program at $20 a kid. I was having 80 kids show up. So in college, like that's pretty good money every
Wow, that's
Sunday.
insane.
Yeah, so it was actually a pretty good gig at the time. But
Yeah.
I did that for 3 years of college, and then I moved to North Carolina for one summer to actually work with Micah while he traveled around. So I ran his facility there, and then I had an opportunity to move out to New Jersey. I ran kind of. You're starting to see him more now, but I will always take this credit. Is like I actually had the first like small size training facility because nobody had done it. Nobody was sure if it would work. So my
Right.
court, it was actually inside of a old shut down like elementary school
Yeah.
that has those courts that are just small. Like they're almost not even half court size. But I had probably, if you took an NBA half court and you cut it off 1 foot behind the NBA line,
Hmm.
that's what I was training people
Yeah.
on. So it ended up working amazing. You know,
Yeah.
obviously smaller gym, low overhead.
Yeah.
You know, when people think about owning facilities, they think about these massive,
Massive
like
places,
we
man.
can
You
do
don't you
runs
don't
here,
always
we
need it.
can. So it's just like, you know, people start to figure it out pretty quick. Like, you know,
Yeah.
the business model isn't glorious when you're trying to do that stuff. Like
No. No, it's
you gotta
not.
run birthday parties, you gotta run everything you can make money. So I kind of had the first gym that was built for that purpose, like
Right.
just training. Like we're not doing runs here. There's no teams here. It's just come train and work out. So
Learn.
it had 3 baskets in it. We had it set up like it was a main NBA court and
Yeah.
then 2 side baskets. But you
That's
know,
awesome.
it had 30 players in it at a time and stuff. So,
Yeah.
so I was doing that, and then that's kind of when I had my first NBA player too. I was training Evan Turner,
Oh,
who was
nice.
College Player of the Year.
Yeah. Oh,
He was,
we know him in Ohio. We know him in
yeah,
Ohio.
yeah, exactly. You're an Ohio draft pick at the time, and
Yeah.
he was with Philly, so I was traveling back and forth to Philly a lot. And then soon after him, I've actually trained Carl Towns since about 8th grade.
Yeah.
I moved away from New Jersey, so now one of my trainers out there,
Yeah.
Zach Leach, works with Carl now.
Nice.
So it's
Love it.
been nice. Like I didn't want to really leave New Jersey, to be honest. I loved it, but now it was nice because when I left, like Carl wanted somebody to still train with. He's not in New Jersey as much anymore,
Right.
but he's still out there, so he works with Zach Leach. And then, gosh, worked with Old Depot for 4 or 5 years. Got to work with Brandon Ingram a little bit when he
Yeah.
visited us up here in
Yeah.
Grand Rapids. Jetty Osman
Yeah,
with his pictures behind over here. Furkan Korkmaz over here was a big Philly guy for a while.
yeah,
And a lot of other guys kind of in and out through, like Edmund Sumner was through for quite a bit there when I was in Miami, Quinn
yeah,
Cook. Tend to get a lot of like kind of those middle upper tier guys because
yeah,
some of the guys at the higher end too. Like obviously my partner Mike is kind of famous for working with
yeah.
Kyrie and
Right,
we share a lot of
right.
the same players and stuff. So, but it's
So
been
having,
about 16, 17 years now.
yeah.
36 now, getting old.
So so now having worked with players on such a large spectrum, what's something that really stands out to you when it comes to, working with, such honestly, you say mid tier, but I mean, in their own respect, I mean, mid tier in the NBA is still extremely
Oh, it's
high
elite.
tier. It's
Yeah,
still elite level.
it's elite.
What do you notice about those guys at that elite of a level versus, and I know you've worked with obviously middle schoolers, high schoolers, and not all of them have to go to the NBA. What do you see as the biggest difference kind of across the board
Like if you're just going on like the NBA realm, honestly, I think a lot of it's sometimes mentality.
mentality?
Um, I've trained a couple guys that like if you looked at them on paper and in workouts, like they're remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but they don't have the all-star mentality,
Mm-hmm.
which is a little bit like, I'm willing to take 30 shots and see what happens.
Yeah.
We always call it the Jeremy Lin effect. Like if I'm a player, we even tell high schoolers this. If I'm a bubble player, like I get a
Yeah.
little bit of playing time, a lot of times, like if I go in and I just, play my role and do what they tell me to do,
Yeah.
I just get stuck there. Like I
Right.
don't, maybe I'll grab a couple more minutes, but
Yeah.
like, if I'm talented and I have the actual ability, at some point I have to go out there and take my shot. Like
Yes.
that's why Jeremy Lin's story is such a fun one. If you watch the documentary, it's like
Yeah.
he thought he was going to get cut the next day. So
Oh
like
yeah.
I'm going to go into this game, I'm going to
Ethics.
fight.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm gonna
All in.
go down swinging. Like,
Yeah.
and so we always talk about it. Like, if you go off that game, you will get an opportunity the next game. If you go off again, you're starting that next game. If you go off again, you've kind of solidified yourself.
Locked
Where
in your spot.
yeah, and like I've had high school players do it. I had a kid, Connor Dickerson, who's actually playing overseas in Spain now,
Nice.
who took the same advice. He got cut from his freshman team, transferred schools, made the team, never played, made the team as a junior, still wasn't playing, and then as a senior, and like good player. Like if you saw him in workouts,
Yeah.
he kind of almost looked like an and one basketball player with what he could do with the ball.
Love it.
So sometimes it was too much,
I love it.
but like his senior year, he's like six man. The kid in front of him gets hurt. We talk about it the night before. I'm like, listen, every time you catch the ball, you need to take a breath and, take a chance. Like, you need to go into this game every quarter. I need at least 4 to 5 shots. He
Mm-hmm.
goes into that game, he drops 18,
Love
filling
it.
that role. Goes into the
Love
next
it.
game, drops like 20 something. Next game, drops 25, and then goes from being a role guy to all of a sudden
The guy.
going to be the guy, averaged
The
20
guy.
something a game his senior
Oh,
year,
that's great.
went on to play Division II college and
Good for him.
grew 4 inches somehow. He's now like 6'5", playing in Spain, and he's a monster. Like
Oh, that's
so,
awesome.
it kind of goes both ways. Like I also have to have the skills to back it up, but like at some point, it's like, some guys, I think they get to a certain level and like they become role player mentality, which in the NBA, honestly, you can get paid a ton to be a role player. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking to make it to that next level, I kind of have to show what I got at least a little bit. So you definitely got to have what it takes to back it up. But I think that's on each level. The biggest difference at some point is kind of your mentality with it. As long as you have the skills to back up of what you're trying to do. Obviously, if you
Good.
can't shoot and you go out there and just jack, it's going to backfire.
Oh, for
So,
sure. For sure. And that's something we always talk to our guys on our side of things. You say the biggest difference from, that low level to high level is mentality. And that's something we talk about all the time. And not even just, it'll carry over to what you do in a game or what your approach to the game.
yeah,
But we talk about it like, hey, if you want to be a pro, you got to be a pro on all levels. And I mean, like
Hmm.
your skill work, so any sort of court work, any sort of shooting work, all that kind of work, your athletic development, whether it's lifting,
Hmm.
whether it's jumping, all those different things, your nutrition, your sleep,
Yeah.
your mobility, just your recovery. You start working like that, and then you go into these games, and it's less of a like, okay, let's roll the dice, let's see what happens, and more
Yeah.
of, hey, you've built these habits. Now you know how to handle these situations, and there that because you've instilled so much confidence
Yeah.
in that mentality. So that's really cool. And that's something that I feel like when guys really understand that, they take that leap in terms of that mentality is when they can really kind of, show up or show
Yeah.
off, as far as, you talk about that, the player that you worked with, he did it and it worked, did it
Hmm.
again, kept going. And then that just kind of had that domino effect. And I think there was,
And that kid, by the way, has had that pro mentality. He was actually one of the best tennis players in the state of New Jersey. And if you saw his body,
yeah,
he looks like a tennis player, like long, lanky. His
long.
brother played tennis at Duke.
Oh, cool.
So like but all of a sudden his freshman year, he was like, I want to play basketball. But
Yeah.
like he's the type of kid that will do everything you tell him to do, like as far as how you eat, how you train. Do I need to be focused more on my skill set, or do I need to be more focused on my shooting, or like where do I need to kind of go? Where like I always talk to kids, and I think this is the hard part, is because your lifespan in basketball is so short. In all reality, is like you're asking kids to be businessmen at a young age.
Yeah.
Like if
Yes.
you want to play basketball in college, which you basically get paid to do it now,
Yep.
if you want to play as a pro, it's like running like your own personal business. So if I'm gonna run
Yes.
a business, is just showing up to the gym and doing random stuff a good way to run your business? Like no, like
Yeah.
Mike has always spoke to players about this of like, and it's what we do within our system of skill training is like, we have an app that every player that's with us is
Hmm.
on. When
Yep.
they come in, whether they're local or they fly into us, we
Yep.
put everything in the app for them.
Yep.
They work through it. And then once they feel like they're actually good at this stuff, they fly back to us and we give them new stuff. So it's like, but most players just in all app reality is like they go to the gym, with a trainer, they work on what that trainer does. And then next time they're with a trainer, they do something different that time, and then it just kind of keeps switching a lot of times. Where like
Yeah.
we're very about organization because like that's a good
Yes.
way to run a business. Like
Oh my gosh. Crazy idea.
yeah, and but that's why most players it's just like you know like our model is we actually don't want you training with us that much.
Hmm.
We want you in the gym by yourself, knowing what you're going to work on. Because if I have a kid trains with me Monday, I give him I usually try to stick around 5 to 6 things to work on. I tell them I need 2 to 3 days this week where you work on what we did. So now he's in the gym by himself, working on these things,
Yeah.
building self confidence. And then when he comes back next week, I'm going to hit him with 5 or 6 different things to work on.
Mm.
So that's where I think players are struggling right now is like they just do random things
Hmm.
every time they go in the gym. So, you work with a trainer on speed step hand exchanges with, reverse steps to shoot it, whatever.
Right.
You're working on that, and then you don't work on that again until that trainer ever really does it with you again.
Yeah.
So like first is like I work on that on Monday with my trainer,
Yeah.
and then Wednesday I work on it again, and then Saturday I work on it again. You get good pretty quick. But
Yeah.
like that's what we watch more often than not. It's players doing random stuff, which is
Random
usually going to
stuff.
get you random results.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really feel like all those man hours you're putting in are really leading you somewhere. It's
Yeah.
just like you'll get better, and I think that's the part that everybody gets confused about. Is like you will get better. It's
Yeah.
just like, and it as a strength guy is like you put people on programs and athletic performance stuff, you see leaps pretty quick. Like, but it's like
Yeah.
if I'm randomly lifting, like I'll get
Oh yeah.
stronger,
Yeah.
but I might not see the growth that I want to see.
Exactly. And this is kind of like, from our side, and this kind of rolls into my next question here, but from our side, we have an app as well. And I said, look, and a conversation I have with almost every kid before they come in, I'm like, are you tracking your lateral quickness and how much faster you're getting with that?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
Are you tracking your first step and things to do to get faster with that? No. Vertical? No.
Yep.
they've got like three exercises
Hmm.
that they're just tracking overall, and they have no idea on how that's getting them to become a better or more athletic
Yeah.
basketball player. Now, we think about this checklist that you're kind of mentioning, like, hey, get this done first, then you can move on, then you can move
Yeah.
on. And I think one person who's revolutionized the game, that's no doubt, is Steph Curry. And that all
Yep.
started with one skill
Yep.
of just shooting the three ball. And now, because of that, we saw, oh, he's got handles. And
Yeah.
then after that, we see, oh, he can hit a really pretty floater.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about with Steph Curry, is the 3-point shot the number one skill to have so that you can open up everything else to what you can show off?
Yeah. So I think the first thing with basketball is like everything kind of works in trends.
Hmm.
Like the game is always shifting, it's always kind of changing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the next big shift is going to be when another Shaq type player comes around. Because
Yeah.
it will happen. Like everybody
Yeah.
says, like, oh, we'll never see it again. Like it'll happen.
Yeah.
Now it could be 20 more years, it could be 30 more, whatever. It honestly, in my opinion, it should have been Joel Embiid. I don't know if you've ever seen him in person. That is the biggest human being I've ever
It's
seen.
huge.
It's just like it's not
Huge.
even the height. It's just physically
Size,
like
just, yeah,
everything.
demanding. Yeah.
So, but like the game's always kind of changing because if you think about it right now, there's nobody who really dominates the inside paint in that aggressive manner.
No.
Where like
Not
you have a
not like how Shaq
Jokic
did.
who's big body, but he's not athletic, but he
Hmm.
dominates the paint by little baby hooks and off the glass and crafty little pivots and
Right.
stuff. But like a guy that's just gonna go, you know what? I'm gonna dunk everything. I'm 7'2",
Yeah.
300 pounds. Like
Yeah.
it just like it's gonna happen. Zion Williamson, unfortunately, he's hurt a lot. Is like he's like that
Yeah.
at like 6'5",
Oh yeah. Oh, for
um,
sure.
but like I think you just see a lot of trends and stuff. So I think right now with like the 3-point shot, I think the reason it's so important is, and I hate the analytics part of the game because I feel like it's a big reason why basketball kind of gets weird
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
like all the 3-point shots is like, role players used to be layups in mid range. That was your role guys. That's what they did. They didn't really shoot threes. That was more your specialist. That was your Steve Kerrs, your Kyle Korvers, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, now a role player is expected, you probably hear it all the time too, is 3 and D.
Yeah.
Make threes, play defense.
Yep.
That's what they expect from you. So like it has kind of shifted a little bit where like the expectation is you need to be able to shoot the three ball. Whether you're a big or this, we want to spread the floor because the analytics
Yeah.
say X, Y, and Z will win us, 4 more games, a year. Um, so it's hard to say it's the most important skill, but it is really, really important. Like it's just become like an expectation where like, and we hear when we talk to NBA teams too, though, is like, um, they'll say stuff like, mid range is saved for the all star.
Yeah.
Mid range is saved for like the best player on this team, which does tell me one of two things. Number one, if I'm going to be the best person on the team, I need to now be able to shoot threes, hit that pull up midi, and get to the basket. I'm scoring on all three
You
levels.
have to score at all three levels.
But what it also tells me, if I want to be an all star, I kind of have to rebel a little bit and shoot that mid range, even if they don't want me to, because if I have it, I need to shoot it. So it's like it's tough because like even like I mean I even see it in high school. It's like everybody shoots the three now,
Yes.
and it's just like if I'm gonna be I don't want to say average player, but kind of like a role player, average player right now, it's 3 and D. Like,
Yeah.
like, but it's just like, it's so tough on these things because it's like,
Yeah.
Patrick Beverly is one of the best ones, and so is TJ McConnell, which I've gotten to work with TJ, I think, once or twice.
Yeah.
But like, those guys got to the NBA and became role players.
Right.
In high school, they averaged
30,
36 points per
35,
game.
40 a game. Yeah.
College, they
Wild.
dominated. Now, when you
Wild.
get to that level, when they say, "Hey, I'm going to pay you $8 million a year to lock up on defense," I'll do it.
Yeah.
8 mil, I'm in. But when
You're
you're
writing the checks,
asking
man.
a
I'm
high
okay with
school
that.
kid, no college coach is recruiting a high school kid that averages 4 points but locks up on defense. Maybe a lower level college, but
Yeah.
like that's the hard part. And that's where sometimes I think not that we bump head with coaches or other trainers and stuff, but like,
Yeah.
our not motto necessarily, but like we are geared towards kids who want to be that top tier player. I
Sure.
want Kyrie's footwork. I want Steph shooting. I want
Right.
Kyrie's finishing. I want Kobe's
Right.
mid range, Jordan's mid range. That's what we kind of do. We're like,
It's
yeah,
the
not
clientele.
everybody's going to be that, but if that's what you want to be, is like, I'm going to show you how to get there, but you got to
Right.
work on it now. But then it's like, coaches from an analytical standpoint, a coach's job is to take what you can do kind of compared to your teammates, where like high school, yeah, you might have been the top scorer on your team. You get to college, everybody was the top scorer on their team. So now it's out of the group of you who do that. So it's like you might be the 3-and-D guy on this team
Yeah.
because James over here dribbles better than you do. He finishes better than you do.
Yeah.
So like that's just always the hard part. It's like as you go up tiers, are you better than everybody on that team at doing that, or do you become a 3-and-D guy?
Yeah.
So it's just like shooting is, I think, the most important thing right now, but you can't be completely inefficient at everything else.
Right. No, you're right. You're right. Now, when we think about, obviously you talk about shooting is the most important thing. And I know I've had countless of discussions with agents and even talking about guys who are graduating as Division 1 players. And the first thing they look at so many times is like, what's your 3-point percentage?
Hmm.
And it's kind of like the bare minimum that you have to just get your foot in the
Yeah,
door. Now,
yeah,
when we think about these shooters, all right, and let's even just kind of, from a 3-point perspective, but also on a, 3 level standpoint,
yeah.
what can we learn about these guys from an athleticism standpoint? What do you think is the most important traits from an athleticism standpoint for shooters?
Yeah. So height and size always plays a role.
Hmm.
Like, and I think that's the thing. It's like that's why like most players we're dealing with, you're not really a shooter. Like if you are like I always joke about it with us, like even shooting form. Typically, if you're 6'5" and above, you can have ugly shooting form because you offer something else to the game that everybody else doesn't, and that's height and size. If you're 6'5" and below, it's actually hard to find really good shooters that are below 6'5" who don't have pretty form. Like Tyrese Halliburton's that edge guy, like 6'5", 6'6", where like everybody's like, oh well, he has ugly form. Like he's also 6'5", 6'6". Like he's a bigger guard. Like he
Yeah.
offers size. Where like there's not a lot of shorter players who are really good shooters who have ugly form. So like the taller you get, like Karl Towns is a good example. Really great shooter, arguably one of the best shooters at that height and size, really ever. It'd be like him. Like you look at his percentages, he's in the 40s. Like it's like him, Dirk. Like you have guys like that, where like we don't
Yeah.
see a lot of tall guys who shoot the ball at that clip.
Right.
Carl doesn't really shoot the ball that fast. He also doesn't have. He's tall. The guy. Um, so he doesn't have to be able to shoot that quick. Now, I would say for most normal guards, like you're talking about 6'5" to 6 foot,
Yeah.
it's quick. It's quickness. Like
Yes.
I've got to be able to not only run to a spot fast, but when I get there, how fast do I set my feet and
Yeah.
how quick do I get from setup to follow through? Where
Yeah.
like that's the biggest thing to me is like because jump shooting is a different monster. Like Devin Booker can shoot a jump shot from the NBA three.
Hmm.
He can also shoot more of like what we call them lift point releases,
Okay.
where like I'm literally letting him go of the ball as soon as I'm coming off the ground. Steph
Yeah.
Curry
Yep.
obviously isn't shooting a traditional jump shot, so we've had to kind of organize those a little
Yeah.
bit.
Sure.
And just for a little bit of knowledge, because nobody ever knows this, when people say set shot, a set shot is actually a shot in which you don't jump. Nobody ever knows that. Like the only actual set shot in basketball is a free throw. So
Okay.
that like goes back to like when basketball like first started is like a set shot, like nobody jumped. That's what a set shot was. Now we think of set shots as like
Anything catch and
stand,
shoot.
catch up. I don't jump that high, I shoot it. But
Right.
free throw is actually the only shot in basketball that is a set shot.
Yeah.
Um, so what happens a lot of times is like being able to kind of separate like not everybody can actually shoot a jump shot from the NBA line. Like it takes
Right.
a lot of athleticism.
Yeah.
But like that quickness is so much more important. Is like that's why more players like you can identify more with Steph Curry and Trae Young than you can with Devin Booker. Booker has probably pretty close, if not two more. Did you see the picture of him shooting over DeMar DeRozan?
No, I don't think
Oh,
so.
he's like 40 inches off the ground on a jump shot. Like it almost looks like it's AI, but
Yeah,
you can't tell.
that's
Like he
crazy.
jumps high when he shoots sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but Steph, maybe gets off the ground
Not very much.
8 to 10 inches. But that's what
Hmm.
makes it so quick, and that's where a jump shot looks quick because it's explosive, but it's actually kind of slow because
Hmm.
I'm holding onto the ball, I'm holding, and then I shoot it. There
Right.
was actually a lot of time that you held onto that ball. Versus
Yeah.
Steph shot so quick because he's jumping this high. The
Right.
ball is going from belly button to about chin to nose. We call it kind of a medium lift point. So that ball's moving so short and so fast, but the only
Yeah.
difference is like Steph can't get a shot off if somebody's too tight, so he's got to create space.
Yeah.
So like that quickness is so much more important for most players versus like, how high you jump. More than I do is like you can definitely raise people's verticals,
Hmm.
but like some people just have that body type a little bit that it's like Olympic sprinters are typically long, lanky, long
Yeah.
femurs, long
Makes
whatever.
makes
Like
makes it a little easier.
yeah, like swimmers. You look at
Definitely.
Michael Phelps's frame; he's built like a swimmer. Like
Yeah.
so, but quickness is just so important on all levels. Okay, as far as
Yeah.
like how quick you run, how fast you set your feet, and how quickly you get from your setup to your follow through. Like quickness, everybody can obtain that one.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And you mentioned quickness, and you talk about getting to a spot. And I think part of one of the details that's missed out of that whole, kind of scenario is how quickly they can get their footwork down, right?
Yeah.
Because guys can get to a spot, but they don't get their feet set or positioned in the way to set
Yeah.
themselves up for either a catch and shoot or a catch and drive, whatever that may be. So, when I think about, just as a player, footwork is probably, and footwork
Mhm.
quickness is probably one of the highest, priority things as
Yep.
an athlete. When you look at younger hoopers, what details do you think that they should be focusing on the most, or just when it comes to skills as a whole?
Yeah. So on the shooting side, like the quickest thing that you can definitely focus on is like the body, like your
Hmm.
footwork and your balance. That's why it's like I'm a little different than most shooting coaches where like I focus a lot on upper body
Okay.
because it's hard. Like when a player has a bad release,
Mm.
no matter how much you bend your knees and your hips, it's not gonna really fix it.
Yeah.
But even I had a group this morning that we did like, I actually like to call it like kind of like the Steph Curry drill because it's just a lot of running and shooting. But you probably see it. We have the lights; they go red, blue, green,
Yeah.
and I just kind of mark a shot for each one. Like green is you're an elevator screen up the middle, red you're to the corner, blue you're a curl and you shoot 8 shots. There's a light in each section. If I shoot out the top, out the elevator screen, I hit it, I run to the next spot. But there's a corresponding set of footwork with each one. It's the same problem every player I get is they can't do the same sharp footwork every single time. And I think this is Steph
Repeatability.
Curry's fault on this one. Coaches are getting obsessed with variability right now,
Mm.
but they're looking at what Steph is doing right now, not what he did in the beginning to get there. So
Right.
people are trying to skip steps right now. They go like, oh, like I see clips of Duncan Robinson working out a lot, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, he's working on this, this, and this is how he became great. No, Duncan Robinson shot thousands of shots every single day and just repped it out over and over and over and
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Where like all these players that you see doing variability is they have mastered repeatability. We have watched
Yes.
Steph Curry make
First thing you gotta get down.
105 in a row where like, yeah, he doesn't really need to work on that anymore. Like you have
Yes.
that. And that's why like a graduation system is so important is like, do you ever see Gilbert Arenas' podcast talks? He talks about the one where he's like, I shot 1,000 shots on a gun, and Chris Mullins came down and said, that's a waste of 1,000 shots. So everybody took that as just like, oh, don't do that. Like, no, it's a waste of 1,000 shots because Gilbert Arenas shot 1,000 threes and he probably made 900 and something of them.
Yeah.
So for him, there's not a lot of growth there anymore.
Right.
So now it's let's stop doing that. You're really wasting reps because you're
Yeah.
making all these. Now you give me a kid that shoots 1,000 threes and he makes 200 and something of them. He needs those reps until that becomes, I always say at least like 80% is a good number. If I'm shooting at
Yeah.
a medium
Sure.
speed, I'm alone, whatever. But like most people are trying to jump to variability, which again, it can still make you better,
Oh, for
but you're
sure.
not going to see the growth that, okay, give me a player like a Steph, good mechanics, he's shooting 80 to 90% on the gun, sometimes 100% because you make 100 threes in a row, which is still ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like now I get you doing variability. It's a little bit more game like. You're now having to run to a spot and kind of make some light decisions. So I think on the shooting side with players, it's like you got to just know where you're at. Are you shooting 80 plus percent on the gun, but then struggling in games a little bit? Well, okay, so there's a middle piece missing. Like you're not good when it comes to running to a spot and shooting it. So switch more to that avenue. Do less reps, but do higher intensity, kind of like
Yeah.
the lifting world, right? Like
Yeah.
lower weight is typically, less reps,
Quality over
but
quantity.
yeah, exactly. So it's just knowing where you're kind of at a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but then even on the repeatability side is like, are your mechanics holding you back from being more repeatable?
Right.
So I think on the shooting side, it's like you just got to know where you're at. Like, I have a player here, Sam. I love him to death. He's got decent form now. It's going good, but he's been here for 2 months. But he's been trying to having to figure out is like, where am I actually at with my shooting? We shoot 100 threes.
Mm-hmm.
He makes around 40 to 50 of them.
Mm.
The good ones are great. The bad ones are rough. But now a
Yeah.
month later, he's shooting more 60% to 65%, which means like our touch is building, our mechanics are becoming repeatable.
Yep.
And so like now you're going to have more like what we did this morning, I would call it variability. You're running from spot to spot. You're
Yeah.
not shooting the same shot typically twice in a row. And he had some decent success this morning. So like your repeatability goes up, your variability is going to go up too, and it just all follows trends and stuff. So on the shooting side, it's like you just got to know where you're at.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. And what I keep hearing from you in this, with everything that you're talking about, and it comes down to just like, are you organized with where you're
Yeah.
at in your skills?
Yeah.
Are you organized in where you're at with your development as a player as a whole? And that's such a big thing. So, like, from our side of things, one of the things, when we look at athletic performance, we take the same approach. You know, 80 to 90% of the game is played off of one leg.
Mm-hmm.
Yet strength coaches will hammer out squats and deadlifts, which are two-legged movements. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, great, your legs got stronger, but you didn't get more coordinated as an athlete.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've worked with kids. The biggest thing that they're missing is just coordination. And
Yeah.
they're just, they're super awkward because they're growing so fast, then they don't grow, then they grow a
Mm-hmm.
lot, and then they don't. And so we master it. That's the number one thing that we have to master. I had a kid, I remember, and you talk about great stories. I had a kid who, we were just doing slow lunges, side lunges, tempo
Yeah.
lunge, static lunges. I wouldn't let his feet move for 6 months. 6 months because
Mm-hmm.
he was so bad, and he was going into his junior year as a basketball player, and I could not. And we called him Bambi because his knees would just literally
Just
shake
shaking your
every
legs.
time we did
Mm-hmm.
anything. But he bought in. He really bought into the
Mm-hmm.
process, and I've never had a kid, at that age, bought in so much to just remedial work for
Mm-hmm.
that long. And this was a kid who, going into junior year, didn't have a single offer, didn't have a single look. Finishing, halfway through his senior year, so year and a half, had multiple Division II offers.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, oh my gosh, if you just, hey, stay true to the, you
Yeah.
know, not necessarily like, hey, you have to only do the basics, but know your development
Mm-hmm.
as an athlete, as a shooter, as just overall a basketball player. And that's where success is repeatable.
Yeah. And that's where it's like I always joke about it is like, and I mean, it's just the world we kind of live in is like everybody's looking for like fast, like really fast change where like I want to go from here to here right away.
Mm,
Where like it's usually pretty steady incline, but all of a sudden you'll see a boom
yeah.
where like it says it clicks with the body, it makes sense, it's there. It's where
Mm,
like I think that is the hard part is like, for a lot of players, it's just not being patient, because I still think you can get better quicker than what most people put it out there as.
Oh yeah.
But like, you got to give me, like I always tell people, if you're fixing mechanics, I've never had a player that it really takes more than 3 weeks. I've also had players that it takes 5 shots. Like they just go, okay. And then they'll try it 5 times and they'll be like, yeah, it actually doesn't feel that bad. Then you also have players that just panic and they're like, oh, this is going to take forever to change. This is going to take forever to fix, blah, blah, blah. So like they just won't fix it where
Yeah.
like it's, you see it a lot. It's like those kids that'll actually buy in and, just kind of trust that little bit of a process a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
they eventually make a big jump. And,
Yeah.
it might be, we've had players that, in 5 months, they become a monster. We've had players that it took a couple of years for it to click. And then once
Yeah.
it clicks, they're typically good. So, but I think that's the thing with, even on the skill side. And I think this is where a lot of times, even when, you look at us as a skill, is like you have some people that might not agree with the way we do stuff. I
Sure.
think they also at times also don't understand is like, we don't think players should only train with us.
Right.
We're just skill,
We're
ball handling, shooting,
one
footwork,
part
finishing.
of the whole
Yeah, we
journey.
don't talk X's and O's. We don't,
Yeah.
I might give them tidbits of talking about it, but like if you need X's and O's work, there's a lot of trainers who do that. Your coaches at your high school do that. That's fine. You come to us though, we're only trying to hit your raw ability as a player, your
Yeah.
footwork, your ball handling, your shooting, and your finishing. I'm trying to deliver a coach, a skilled player. That's it. Once you get this skilled player, now it's the coach's job to teach them how to play, figure out what their role is on that team. And like that's why a lot of times we always talk about players graduating away from us. Like I said, I don't really train Carl Towns anymore. If any of you guys have seen Carl play, he's skilled. He can shoot. He can finish. He doesn't need me anymore. So it's like, unless it's just one of those things where he just enjoys the workouts,
Yeah.
cool. Like we can do it. But like
Great.
for at some point is like if all you need is get up shots, stay in shape, like you don't need us. We're more specialists.
Yeah.
We're like that's where I think a lot of players, and that's where it was really fun with Oladipo was Oladipo was athletic. He knows the game really well. He's competitive. So all we have to do is fill in the role of skill. Like how well do you dribble, shoot, finish, pass, do this. It's easy. That's why typically, like if you see NBA players who work with us, it's like they make a pretty big jump pretty quick because they already have everything else for the most part. So now we're just trying to make you a better ball handler, better footwork, better finisher. It's a pretty easy job actually, and you could do it really rather quite quickly.
Yeah.
Skill, I think that's kind of the difference in our two worlds a little bit. Is like skill and shooting, I can typically get pretty fast growth out of it. Where
Mm.
sometimes athleticism, like especially for kids, like you
Takes
got to
time.
physically grow up, you
Yeah.
got to hit puberty, like you have a
Yeah.
lot of things. So like that's why we love it. You give us somebody who's athletic, but their
Mm.
skill sets down here, we can jump this really fast.
Very
I've
fast.
seen kids the other way though, like I have a seventh grader who's been with me since he's in third grade. Skill wise, he's remarkable.
Yeah.
He's so unathletic right now, though, that it's like he does some stuff in games, but these bigger, faster kids are just killing him.
Yeah.
Where,
Can't
like,
compete.
but once this catches,
Yeah.
it's over for everybody else. Like, this kid, like, prettiest form in the world,
Yeah.
nice with the ball, but, like, there's just no athleticism behind
Yeah.
it. Where it's just like, you see both players. Like, we get a lot of people who are unathletic or who are athletic, but they're so bad with a basketball that they struggle.
Yeah.
Also see a lot of kids the other way though too is like they're actually pretty nice with the ball. You're so unathletic though that like you need to go see a Connor Barber who can fix that for
Yeah.
you. Where like it's just like I think it's everybody's got to do a better job of guiding where kids need to go. We tell players all the time is like you don't need us anymore. Go
Yeah.
play some pickup. Go play some ones. Go do this. Like you are skilled. Like one of our trainers from the Philippines came here and trained.
Yeah.
He's not like he's trained himself. He's actually a player, but since there's no trainers in his area, he trained himself to be a trainer to train himself as a player.
Yeah.
And like he's nice with it, but when it comes to decision making, when it comes to putting the skill on the court, he needs to go see a trainer that it's like we are either doing 5-on-5 runs, we are playing ones, we are doing something of that sort. And a lot of players need that too. It's just everybody
Definitely.
wants to jump to the ones for some reason. I think it's the testosterone of like playing ones, and everybody's like, play more
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
where I'm like, I listen,
Yeah.
like,
King of the court. Gotta do something. Gotta
yeah,
show,
where it's just like you just got to
who's
know
top
where you're
dog.
at.
Who's top dog for sure.
Yeah.
So if there's one, kind of like I said, the biggest detail that I'm hearing from you is just like, one, just know where you are in your development and know
Hmm.
where you need to go with your development. What would you say is, and just kind of leaving our viewers with this last little bit, what would you say is that one detail that, hey, and there's obviously a lot of details that could
Yeah.
be just kind of thrown off to the side, but what's that one big detail right now that's just kind of be like, hey, don't worry about this?
That's a tougher one. Um,
Because I know from our side, the one big detail that is thrown out a lot for us is just like, hey, what's your squat number? What's your bench number? And when we
yeah.
just look at general lifts and not the movement behind it, for
Yeah.
us, that's not getting into, because they want to focus on one thing. And don't get me wrong, like, you have a good squat number. Can that help your athleticism? 100%. But of all my guys who have 40 plus inch verticals, not, and it is multiple. I mean, we have a dozen guys.
Hmm.
Not a single one of them squats 300.
Yeah.
And that's because they learn to move the right way. Now, as they mature and get into their, late teens, into their 20s and things like that, they'll probably squat more because that strength is needed. But right now, they don't need that strength.
Yeah.
Eventually, yes, it will be important. But that would be on our side thing. If there's one detail that can just be like, don't worry about it, and focus on other things way more, it's your squat number.
Yeah. If I was going to tie it to the shooting side, when it comes, because this is the one that I would say everybody struggles with the most. If you are focused on fixing your mechanics, don't worry about your shooting percentages.
Okay.
I would rather you miss every shot making the
Yep.
correction that you need to make. Because no
I
matter
love it.
what, and I will die on this hill, the
Yep.
way your shooting form looks matters. Micah just posted a video too. It was the new Kentucky head coach who said, I don't even recruit players with bad shooting form because I've never had a lot of success fixing people's forms. Now, if you have good form, but you can't shoot, I know how to rep you out. I know how to make you get into the gym and
Yeah.
shoot thousands of shots until
Hmm.
that ball goes into the basket.
Hmm.
But
I saw that. I saw that video.
I see a lot of videos of trainers and players who have ugly shooting form themselves, not hating on anybody, it's just the realisticness of it, that are leading the way of form doesn't matter. But that's the problem. And Tyrese Halliburton is the perfect example. He is one of the few players who have ever made a career as a shooter with, and his form's not even that crazy. To give a small uptake on it, his hands are on the side of the ball. So when he lifts the ball, he's on the side. So he has to press it. He doesn't even really thumb flick. He presses on it to help square the hand up. But from here to here, he's perfect. So like he just is very unorthodox on how he
Very
gets to a really good
unorthodox.
finish.
Right.
But if you look at his recruiting process, and I'll put my players on blast too right now. A couple of my players in high school who were McDonald's All-Americans, and
Hmm.
he even talked about this in an interview, Team Rio, he dropped like a 48 ball on these guys. Like just and still was barely getting recruited because you look at that form and you go, that's not working at
Uh,
the next level.
that
Now
that
you have
might
one or
happen
two
once or
options.
twice. It ain't happening at the next
Yeah,
level.
it's not working. They'll always say it's not. They tried to do it to Steph, right? It's not going to work at the next level. It's not going to work at the next level, and it just keeps working.
Yeah.
But like for most players, they get written off early because they see your form and they go,
Yeah.
like you just don't look Division One. You don't look NBA quality.
Yeah.
Where like you can go one of two ways. You can either try to fight through it like Halliburton did. Like
Yeah.
again, how Sacramento traded him. Like it's just you don't trust what that form looks like. So it's
Right. Sure.
like so
And
for a
that, and
lot of
that's one
players,
guy. That's one guy that we're talking about.
you
One.
won.
All right. When we talk about all of our other like
Yeah,
great shooters, Dame, Steph,
yeah,
all these other guys, their form. There's so much consistency. Like small
yeah.
little changes, of course,
Small.
but they all look generally the same at the end or the top. The top end of their form at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
I always tell people like stop looking for the differences, start looking for the similarities. Where like I think everybody's problem is when you talk about good shooting
Yep.
form, they think you're talking about like this identical perfect shooting form. Like no,
Right.
little stuff is gonna be different. Like Steph shoots from a low to medium lift point.
Yeah.
James shoots more from a medium to like the bottom of a high. Clay
But we're
shoots it more
talking
about
like percent of a
yeah,
difference,
it's
right?
stuff that it's just like, but like that's the
So
thing of
small.
where most people are trying to fix your form. Like, yeah, you need to find somebody who can help you. You know, there's like I do online training with people,
Yeah.
and it's insane how many people I've had be able to go just from the videos I show them, take a week, work on what I said. They come back a week later, and I'm like, all right, like we're done with mechanics. Now let's just move on to types of shots and like how many
Yeah.
shots you need to be getting up, whatever. But that's the biggest one that I'd say I deal with more than anything is like it's not comfortable changing your mechanics because
No.
you could walk in here shooting granny shots, and if that's what's normal to you, if I show you anything else, you're gonna be like, well, that feels weird. Well, you've never done it before.
Yeah.
But if you take 10 to 20 shots trying to do this, it'll already start to feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's just people do it one time and they go, oh my God, like this is horrible. And then it's just like, well, do it 15 more times and you'll already be like, okay, like,
Oh, it's
this
not
really isn't
it's not
that
the
bad.
worst.
So,
It's not the worst thing in the
um,
world. No,
but
for
that's the
sure.
hard part is like, I've trained some players that I'm like, there's a player, I don't remember his name right now, but there was a player from Oregon that he had pretty good shooting form and then somebody kind of messed with it and he was craving like we call them lift points where you raise the ball to. Some people
Yeah.
like to call them set points. I don't like set because it makes you feel like it's supposed to like sit there before you shoot it.
Yeah.
But like he was like lifting the ball, it would start coming up naturally. He would pull it tight to his body and then it would come back out and it just like that was the feedback he was getting from NBA teams. It's just like, like your shot's just too unorthodox. Like it just, we don't trust it. Like,
Right.
so I think that's the hardest thing is like, if you're in the process of fixing your shot,
Yeah.
don't worry about your percentage for like the first 3 weeks. Cause at the end of the day, being able to shoot is 90% about do you have touch.
Yeah.
That other 10% is like, do your mechanics allow people to see your touch? Because if your touch is a 9 out of 10, but
Yeah.
your mechanics are a 5 out of 10, sometimes you'll perform up here, but on your bad nights, you're performing down here. That's why Steph, mechanics are a 9 out of 10, and his touch is a 10 out of 10. On his good nights, he's a 10 out of 10. On his bad nights, he's a 9 out of 10. So it's like those two things kind of have to go hand in hand. So,
Yeah.
but that would be the biggest one that I would say of like, if you're
I
not
love it.
worrying about something, it's like if you're in that process of fixing mechanics, don't worry about percentages for about 3 weeks.
I love it. No, I
Yep,
love it. No, Bryce, I appreciate your wealth
absolutely,
of
man.
knowledge and just kind of giving a little bit of insight, honestly, to the industry that I think, obviously we know a lot about and because we live it every
Yep,
single day. But I think these are details that a lot of people don't realize. And because
yep,
honestly, when I have these conversations and what seems very elementary for us, they're like, "Whoa, that's
yeah,
brand new information." And
yep,
so I appreciate you hopping on this live today. And, I will
absolutely.
be taking clips from this just to kind of use for future, just so that people can see, you see these
Yeah,
small little details, especially if they don't want to sift through, the 40, 50 minutes of this live, they can still see that. And I think it's extremely important for people to see that because so that they understand, being much more informed if they want to actually have success. And then who to go to, who to see when,
yeah,
when we have success. These are the people who are talking about it. Bryce is the guy who's talking about all this information from a skills, from a shooting standpoint. I need to go see Bryce because obviously he knows what the fuck he's
yeah.
talking about. So, again, appreciate you so much, man. It's good to see you. It's been too long,
I know,
and
man. Miami
it's
feels like forever ago.
it does. It feels like a lifetime ago. I will definitely be making a trip up to Michigan
Absolutely,
sometime in the
man.
next year.
I was saying you're not far away anymore.
No, I'm not too far away. I definitely need to get up there. So I appreciate you again, man, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
You too, bro.
All right, take care.
See you, bro.